Hello everyone, we're going to take a look at some of the commonly misused words. If there's a particular set of words you want to look at, check the description and you can get a link to the words that you're interested in the most. But we'll start and move through the sheet sequentially. So first, let's take a look at accept versus accept. So to accept something is like you get something. To receive, this is a verb, this is an action. You can accept the results. You can accept a gift from your friends. Accept is like an exception, okay? So it's not including other than, it's different, okay? So I like all different kinds of foods except, with an E, fish, okay? So you're making an exception. One way to test is it makes sense to say accepted, okay? He accepted the results of the race. He accepted a gift, whereas accepted is not really something that we usually use. I mean, yeah, you can have this word, but it's not the past tense of accept because this is not a verb, okay? Let's take a look next at affect versus effect. Same kind of difference. So affect with an A is to influence. It's to change the result of something, okay? The fact that the student had the answer key affected the results of his test, okay? Whereas an effect is a thing, okay? You can have an effect. The effects of the weather caused him to crash his car. Hopefully that didn't happen, but effects are a thing. So you can have something like affected, okay, the results were affected by something, but affected doesn't make any sense at all, okay? This word is not a thing, okay? Let's take a look at buy, and buy. These you should probably know, but buy is to purchase, okay? The past tense of to buy is, of course, bought, right? Buy is next to or authorship, right? Okay, so the chair is by the table. The story is by Mark. Obviously, by is short for goodbye. Okay. Let's take a look next at fewer versus less. And this has to do with countable things and uncountable things. We use fewer when we're talking about countable things, less when there's an undefined amount. Okay, so for example, you can have fewer marbles in your pocket than I do. That would make sense, right? Because you could take the marbles out of your pocket and count them. Okay, so you would use fewer for something like that. Okay, less you use for something that is uncountable. So for example, one teacher has less patience than another. You can't really count patience. You can't say, oh, he has 4 units of patience. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. So we use fewer for things that you can count. Seconds, hours, days, marbles, coins, whereas we use less for things that we can't count, okay? Patience, but another one is money, okay? He has less money. We can't count money per se. You would say he has fewer dollars, fewer coins, but less money, okay? He has less time, but fewer hours, fewer minutes, fewer seconds, okay? Let's take a look at further versus farther, okay? Further is a metaphorical distance, okay? So he wants to go further and extend his learning by reading the dictionary, something like that, okay? You want to go deeper into something, but in a way where you don't actually mean physical distance. Farther, right? It is, St. George is farther than Provo, okay, from here. We're talking about something that we could actually measure in length. If you can't measure it in length, then you can use further, okay? He wants to further his career. We don't measure careers with length, so further is what we want to use. Let's talk about a lot versus a lot. There's always a space between here. This is actually simply not a word. There's actually another word that you should know called a lot, and this is a verb that is similar to allocate or to portion. So the kids were allotted $3 each to buy lunch or something like that. That would probably buy you a candy bar for lunch, but nevertheless, this is a lot, like you're going to give a certain amount to each person. If there is a lot of food, like there's very much of it, you would say a lot. Putting it together is simply, whoops, see, the computer just wants to change it. It's not a word, it's gonna give you the red squiggles. Okay. Let's take a look at good versus well. Good versus well is the difference between an adjective and an adverb. Okay, so for example, good is an adjective. Okay, it describes a noun. You can have a good dog. You can have a good pencil. You can have a good table. You can have a good day. Okay, because those are all nouns. Those are things. Whereas well describes a verb. Okay, the student ran well. Okay, the pump works well. Okay, we're describing ran, we're describing works. Those are both verbs, and in which case we'll use well. Okay. Let's take a look at its versus its. This is sort of a tricky one because it breaks the usual apostrophe rule. So our usual apostrophe rule is we use its to show ownership. The only time we don't use that is with its. So for example, we could say John's car. Okay, we're using apostrophe S is going to show whose car it is. But here, if we want to say the cat's, what does a cat have? Yarn, maybe. We might say its yarn, and we'd be tempted to put the apostrophe to show ownership, but this is the one exception. Okay, so if we're showing ownership with its, we're not going to have an apostrophe. When we use it with an apostrophe, we're making the contraction for it is. Okay, so if you're trying to say it is, then you use the apostrophe. If you're trying to show ownership or show possession or belonging, then you have no apostrophe for its. Okay, so let's do an example. Maybe it's a great day to be a miner. Okay, in that case, we are really saying it is. Okay, it is a great day to be a miner. And in which case, then, we're making the contraction, so we need an apostrophe S. Lie and lay are actually kind of tricky ones. These you just got to remember. They're a little bit unusual. So lie is we talk about the subject. I will lie down, okay? It's reflexive back on itself, whereas lay, okay, you will place something on something else, okay? So you will lay down the book, you will lay down your arms, but if we're saying lie, we're actually meaning getting into the physical position, right? So for example, the submarine lies on the ocean floor, okay? Because the submarine is doing the lying, okay? Whereas the logger lays down his axe, okay? The thing that is being laid down is the axe, so then we're using lays. Whereas the submarine is the thing doing the lying. The Subaru, how about that? How about a submarine lies on the ocean floor? Okay, so lies is about the subject, whereas lays is it's putting something down. Okay, it's about the object. Let's take a look at loose versus lose. So these are actually pronounced differently. If you are going to lose something, that means that you've lost a game, okay? So the past tense, of course, of to lose is lost, will lose, all that. Okay, this is a verb. So he might lose his temper, that sort of thing. Whereas loose, with two O's, is just an adjective to describe something that is not tight, okay? So the belt was loose, okay? Something like that. Your, this is probably review for a lot of people. Your with an apostrophe RE is just short for you are, okay? So if I were going to say you are happy, you might say you are happy, okay? Whereas your shows ownership, okay? We're talking about drive your, your car, okay? If the car belongs to you, so we just an R for that case. Let's take a look at there, and there. These are all pronounced the same, but we use them differently. There with an EIR is, of course, to show ownership. It belongs to them, okay? So it's their car, good. Whereas there is a place, okay? So put the pencil over there. And of course, there with the apostrophe RE is a contraction. For they are. So since we're in such an awesome mood today, they're happy. Okay. Let's take a look at to 2 and 2. These are probably also ones that I review for many people. 2 is an indication of motion. So you might send a letter to a friend, you might go to the store. The part of speech is, of course, a preposition. It's telling something where something is in space or time. Okay, I would like to go to the future. Whereas 2 with 2 O's is to show something is excessive or too much or in addition to. So for example, we might say, I ate too much ice cream. Or I want to go to. Okay, these are ways that we would use to. We use to way so much more than too. Okay. 2, this one we use a lot, but it only means one thing. 2 is just a number. That's it. That's all it is. So the main confusion is between to and too. Okay. Let's take a look at through, thorough, and through. Okay. So through is another preposition. Okay, we're moving in a space, and we're moving through something. So maybe he had to walk through the marsh. Okay, that would be a bummer of a way to spend a day, but you must walk through the marsh. He will go through the surgery, whatever. Okay. Thorough is completely done. Okay, and that's how you pronounce it, thorough. Okay, he did a thorough job. And it means done completely. Okay, so if you've done a thorough job on your homework, that means that you've answered all the questions and you've done so in a lot of detail. He did a thorough job. Thanks, computer, for spelling it right. And through is, of course, to cast away, like you'd do with a ball. So he threw the ball. This is the past tense of the verb to throw. Okay, so will throw is throwing. Past tense is the irregular verb through. Okay, threw the ball, did a thorough job, a complete job, or walk through in between the marsh. Okay. We're almost finished. Let's take a look at than versus then. This is another one that many people probably know right away, but then is a comparison. I have more, oh geez, what do I have? I have so many lamps. I'm a lamp collector. I have more lamps than you. Okay. Yeah, it's a comparison. I than you. Okay. Whereas we would use then, and I don't know why this is underlined. Ignore the computer here because it's wrong. Then is to show a point in time. Okay. It happened then. Okay. We could also say back then I had a mitten, but now I don't. Yeah. We could also say, we would use this to talk about things that occur in sequence. So, I don't know, first I did that, then I did this. Let's move on to whether and whether. We pronounce both of these exactly the same, despite them being spelled differently, but whether and whether. Whether with an EA is easiest to explain because it's just literally the weather. If it's raining, if it's snowy, if it's sunshine, if it's hot, if it's cold, it's the weather, and that's it. That's all we use it for. Whereas whether is used if we're going to describe to make a choice. Okay, so let's do whether. We have had some hot weather. But if we're using this second kind of weather with a WH, we're usually talking about making a choice. Yeah, so he cannot decide whether to use a pencil or pen. Okay, he's got this choice, and he cannot decide which one he wants to use. He cannot decide whether he wants to use one or the other. Lastly, let's take a look at were, and where. We actually pronounce these slightly differently, okay? So the past tense, so if we're going to use this one, let's start at the top. This is the contraction. It's for we are. So we are going home. We're going home. Okay. We're going home. That's how you'd say it. Were. we pronounce this form the exact same, and it's the past tense of the verb to be. And it's only used right with the you or they form, so you were at the football game. Okay. In the past, you were at the football game. Okay. You could also say they were at the football game. We would not say he were, we would say he was. Okay. So this could be they or you. Lastly, let's look at where, and this one is pronounced a little bit differently. So in this case, we're talking about a place. Where is the, I don't know, the capital? Okay, maybe you are like me and seek world domination. You want to know where the capital is so you can, I don't know, ransack it, conquer it, whatever. You want to know where the capital is, we would use where with the WH and pronounce it where. There's one more form of where, and this has to do with wearing clothes, and they're pronounced the same. So I only wear Levi jeans, something like that. Okay, whoops. Okay, this is talking about clothes, something that you put on your body. Okay, he wears a watch. All right, these two are pronounced the same. Where is the capital? Where is the toilet? I don't know where I want to go, and where, like you're wearing clothes, we pronounce them the same. Whereas these two are pronounced the same and it's a little bit different. They're pronounced were. We're going home. You were at the football game.